It's time to review your photos. It is episode 2 and we have got some goodies today. Now I thought I'd dress up for the occasion, you know, just wear a nice suit and tie. I feel like I'm doing a job meeting over Zoom, but this time I'm actually wearing pants. But last time, if you hadn't seen, was absolutely incredible. The caliber of Lego photography was out of this world. I honestly saw a couple of photos in there where people were saying that, oh, this is my, second time trying Lego photography. And I'm looking at their photos being like, damn, they're doing a lot better job than me when I first started. So safe to say that we're gonna get some really good photos today as well. If you're new to the channel, I basically set up an Instagram story and I get people to email through their best Lego photography, where I make a video and review these photos. By the way, I don't want it to seem like I'm trying to be some sort of expert within Lego photography. It's just the genre of photography that I take part in the most, and it's just a way to connect with other Lego photographers and kind of broadcast it to you guys and give people a chance to, show off their Lego photography a bit more, as I want Lego photography to become more involved in the world of photography, basically. I hope that makes sense. Everyone's Instagrams will be linked in the description below, but let's get started. The first 2 images we're going to look into is from Redline Images, also known as Mark Johnson. This guy's an absolute legend. He's a firefighter and I've had a few chats with him and he's just starting off really strong here. I mean, look at the reflection on this. I mean, it's an incredible photo. It looks like it's been done by a lake. It's a really nice reflection and I kind of like how you can see what looks like, I think those are mushrooms or some sort of fungi growing on the tree as well. My only critique with this one, it would be nice to see a little bit more saturation, especially in the blues and also the green, but still a really cool photo. And then the next photo, this one is just so sick. I did a video a while back where I was doing bubble photography, where I was using, bubble mixture and creating these cool bubbles around this astronaut, and he did his own interpretation with this guy right here, and I think it's very, very cool. It almost looks like there's neon lights going on, and also the contrast of the figure in the middle just looks absolutely superb. But yeah, this is a very strong start to episode 2. Thank you, Mark, for submitting these images. Next we move on to Voltage Media. Now, I'm just a sucker for Lego Star Wars, and when I saw this image here, I was just like, damn, I don't know how you did it. I mean, you were able to expose the sky correctly and also get what looks like Darth Vader on a rock looking at the sky, and it's just such a beautiful image. You can see, the small bokeh from what I assume are the stars, and also you could have had like that sky be the negative space, right? Having the trees in the corners just fills the space in such a beautiful way. It's like very, very well balanced, and the color grade on this is very subtle, but it's so effective. I really, really love this image. And the next image with, I forget the name of these troopers, but very simple but effective shot. Balancing these guys on rocks like these is so difficult, so that is a big props to you. It's really nice. It looks like it's done in some sort of creek. You can kind of see the reflection of, what looks like a tree in the background. I like the way you've posed them as well, like hey, head to the side sort of thing. Another 2 solid images. This is what I mean about the series. It's just so nice to be able to see other people's Lego photography. Everyone's got a different style and it's just really fun to look at. Yeah, that's why I do this series. But thank you very much, Voltage Media, for these awesome images. Next we move on to UNM Bricks. Now, you gotta love Ninjago. I mean, this is a really cool shot. I love how he's floating, and you've done a pretty damn good job at hiding how he's actually floating, so big props to you on that. It's a really solid scene because it looks like he's, jumping up this, kind of a cliff. I know it's a tree branch, but it almost looks like a cliff, and it looks really, really cool. Although my only critique would be the color grade. I'd just like to see a little bit more saturation in the greens a bit. It looks a little bit muted, and also in the yellows. I mean, one of the most iconic things about the Lego figure is the color of the minifigures, and it just seems like they're a little bit muted. A little bit more saturation in the Lego figure, but still such a solid shot. You composed this so well. I like how it's slightly off to the left, and also the way you've got the katanas like set up as well. It looks very natural, and it's a very clean and well executed shot. And then this one, I really want to start doing more Marvel stuff because this is the reason why. It just looks so cool. One, the posing you have for Iron Man here looks fantastic. I love the way that you've put the glow in his arc reactor and also his eyes. That's another big plus. So you've got some very good Photoshop skills, and of course the sand. The sand looks so sick. I like to think that you got like a handful of sand or like sprinkling it over because it just looks so awesome. If it was by itself, I think it would look a little bit plain and without too much action, but putting those sand grains like falling like that looks very, very cool. So it's just small things like that that really make an image pop. And again, another solid set of images. Well done, freaking well done. Next we move on to the Lego Lifestyle. Now, This image is so beautiful. I can't tell exactly where this is, but kind of looks like England. It looks so beautiful the way you've shot this. You know, you could have shot him looking at the camera and, you know, having some sort of expression, but you having him facing away and looking at what looks like, you know, maybe a harbor or a small lake with a bridge, it just creates for a really, really nice story. And you've just composed this so well. The nice light on the buildings, and also how you've shot it really low and also kept so much of the landscape in the scene while also keeping the figure and the little parrot. It's such a beautifully composed image. This is one of my favorites for sure. I really love this image. And then this shot here looks really, really nice. I mean, it's a really cool reflection. My only critique is, like, in this case, I think it would be necessary to see a little bit more of his face. It works in the other image because, you know, you understand what he's looking at, but you can't really see what this figure's doing. So that's my only critique. I love the blue bike and just wish his face was looking towards the camera, but these two images are very, very solid. Very, very well done. Next, we move on to Stud's Huff. Now, this is a sort of creativity that I love. He's created this really awesome looking staff for this trooper and also have these bats in the background. It's just like, I would never been able to think of that. And the nice trench coat on him as well. It just looks so, so awesome. Obviously it doesn't make sense for like Star Wars. No one's going to be doing that as that sort of figure, but it looks so cool. So you kind of forget about it. It just, this is such a cool image. I love the creativity in this one for sure. And you've been able to, you know, levitate the bats in a very natural way. I can't see the way that you've done that, and that's a big plus. And also the subtle glow at the very top. This image is so sick. I love it. And then this image here is beautifully composed. Again, you've got two floating elements, and this is the thing I love about Lego photography, is you can make Lego look lifelike. And by having those ferns in the background, right? It's almost like the whole plant is in the frame, and it kind of makes it feel like these characters are lifelike. And the tree is big enough where it doesn't look out of proportion. Yeah, I love the colors. It looks like you're in a proper forest. My only small critique is it's just a little bit overexposed in the left corner as the sun is bleeding through, but I understand how difficult that is, especially when these characters are in the shade and then you've got sunlight in the background. The best fix for this is just taking two images, one in the shadows and then one for the highlights, and then merging them together, or just taking a brutally underexposed image and then brightening up the shadows. But I mean, it's still a really cool image. I really love it. So big props to you, Studs Huff. Your Photoshop skills are insane. Compositions are really good, and creativity is just out of this world, man. Or woman. Good job. Next we move on to magiclegophoto. Now, I have no idea how you shot this image. It looks like it's been done in the desert, but it looks like a proper sandstorm. It looks insane. And also the contrast between, you know, the white minifigure and the black minifigure look really epic in this kind of, you know, sandy landscape. And I love how I assume the sun is just like beaming on that white figure. It just looks very dramatic. It looks very, very cinematic, if you will. My only critique is I think I'd like to see a little bit more saturation and a little bit more exposure to the image, but other than that, this is a solid image. It looks like some sort of iPhone wallpaper that you would have. It looks really, really cool. And then these sort of photos I love the most. It's like you have the main figure in the front and then you have something subtle in the background where you can just vaguely understand what's going on. It's just so nicely composed as well. The nice little tree in the back. I feel like you put that stick in the ground and it works so well because there's a nice moss going through that, and of course the beautiful moss on the left. It just looks really, really nicely composed. You've seriously nailed this, so thank you for submitting your photos. These are awesome. Next we move on to littlebricksbigscenery, and this is a beautiful image of the Fellowship. You've got every character, you know, positioned in a way where you can see each one. I love how you're shooting kind of underneath this, like, I guess, all these leaves and stuff, and as the sun is coming through, it's creating a nice green light over the figures, and it just looks so beautiful. You've picked a really, really good spot for these guys. My only critique is so small, is Gandalf's staff should be on the left side because it's kind of covering his face, but like, it's such a nitpick. This is just me nitpicking because it's just such a good image, but such a beautiful image. I love it. And I'm also a sucker for Lord of the Rings, so bonus points on that. And then the second image, I have no idea where this is shot, but please take me to it because it is insane. You could choose like any iconic figure that you want, and you went with this space woman. I don't know who she is, but it works so well for her. I don't know how to describe it. It's kind of nice having a different character in a scene like this. Her purple shield and also like clothing looks really, really cool. And the fact that you've chosen to put her in the mossy part of this rock is really good, because I feel like if you just had her on the rock, she would kind of camouflage into the scenery a little bit too much, but that nice streak of green grass goes through it really, really nicely. My only critique is, you know, the clouds are a little bit overexposed in the background, but it's a beautiful shot. So thank you very much for submitting. These are some incredible photos. You guys are absolutely nuts with these photos, I swear. Now, I'm probably going to butcher this name very badly, but next we have Kasza Z Warzywami. I probably butchered the hell out of that, but we've got this nice astronaut, what looks like on flower. It's a very simple shot, but I think it's very, very cool. Not too much to say here. I wish there was a little bit more saturation in the figure itself, just to kind of separate him from the ground. If you have Photoshop, like maybe a few stars in the background will look quite cool. Yeah, very simple, but very cool image. And then the next image looks so cool. The golden light, him looking directly at the camera, and also the fire and smoke. It just looks very cool. I can't remember the name of this technique where you've got the camera like slightly angled. I'll put it up here. It works so well for this character, I feel like, and also the scene itself. I feel like I need to try that framing technique a lot more, because it can work so well in these sort of scenes. So it looks like it's stripped straight from what, you know, the Indiana Jones Lego movie would look like. So this is a very, very captivating image, and yeah, some very cool techniques being used in both of these images. So thank you, Kasza, for these images. Next we move on to Figurelensau. So we've got a very cool looking Spider-Man image. I don't know if this is a custom figure, by the way, because I haven't seen this before, but it looks very cool. If you designed this, huge props to you. Also, I have no idea how you did the background. It looks so subtle and so clean that the image just looks very natural and perfect. I mean, if this is like a print or if it's your laptop, however you've done a very good job. It looks like Spider-Man's properly in the city. And then the second image, you've done some very, very cool lighting here. I don't know if you've used two lights to, you know, light their faces individually, but it's a very, very cool image. The nice contrast between the blues, the oranges, and the way you've lit this is very, very nice. This is a very creative take on two iconic characters, so you've done extremely well here. So thank you very much for submitting these awesome images. Next we move on to Bricky Shots. This image is absolutely stunning. It looks like you've got some nice little LED lights inside the cabin, which just helps, you know, light the entire scene and make it look like a real place. And the nice water droplets on the windows looks awesome. It looks like there's a whole world outside of this kid's bedroom, and it looks so mean. And then just look at this image. I don't know if the background is Photoshop or if it's, you know, a background you set up on your laptop. It looks very, very cool. The nice fog going through the bottom and also the light coming from the lamp. It just very, very cool image. These are top tier. Great lighting, great composition. Very, very well done. Thank you so much for submitting these images. Next we move on to probably one of my favorite images, simply because there's a cat in it. We've got BrickSnappy with this incredible image of a space figure running from a cat. I mean, not a whole bunch to say with this. You got the timing perfect here where he's looking directly at the space figure, and I know how difficult that can be, getting a pet or an animal to, you know, work with you. So that's an incredible image, and the nice little green grass, you know, feeding through also just adds a little bit more color. And I really like, I don't know if this is intentional, but I really like how you've got a bright figure in the middle against quite a dull and dark, you know, space. It just draws you in right away. This is so sick. I love this image. And then the next image is just as good. I mean, it's very easy to see that you've got patience, because I know shooting this cat would have taken patience, and also this image here, because you've got bikers coming through. You would have set these figures up waiting for these bikers to come through, and you've taken it at a perfect time. Just wow. I love it when people do these sort of images where, you know, it takes a little bit more patience and time and, you know, waiting for something to happen. There's like that activation within an image, you know, something happening in the background that really completes the image. You could have had these two bikers, you know, on a road. Sure, that'd be a nice story, but the fact that you've mixed like human elements of actual bikers coming through like this, very, very cool. Very creative and beautifully executed. Thank you so much for submitting these images. Next we move on to Arthur Dubois. I hope that's how you pronounce your name. He only submitted one image. The one image is more than enough because this is just such a clean image. The colors work beautifully together. The little nice orange specks around the rocks, and also the way the rocks kind of like lead up towards the viewer. It literally creates like a line that leads straight to the character, and it's beautifully composed and it's balanced well, and I think this is one of my favorite images from this series for sure, just because of how simple yet beautifully executed it is. It's an incredible photo. I'd love to see more of your photos, Arthur, because this is so good. So thank you so much for submitting this image. It looks awesome. And last but not least, we have Alex SB Photography with this nice Batman photo. I forget the name of these particular statues, but I think it's very fitting because in one of the DC comics, I remember seeing Batman standing on a statue like this, I think. I like how there's like a sharp light going through this across his face, so you see his mouth and you see his eye, but everything else is in darkness. It looks very dramatic, very, very cool. The way you've propped these three elements together, the rock, the statue, then Batman, it looks very nice. And then his last image being Shelob and also Sam and Frodo. Captured the Lord of the Rings like colors in this scene so well. Yeah, having Frodo in the background, in shock after being stabbed by Shelob looks really cool. I don't know where you've shot this either. It kind of looks like a big rock. I don't know if you shot this outside, but the way you've lit this is just absolutely perfect. It's very, very well done, and it looks like a cinematic photo that I would have on my wall. It looks so sick, and as a Lord of the Rings fan, I love it. It looks very cool. Thank you very much for submitting, Alex. And those are all the images that we have for today. I want to say thank you to everyone who submitted. If you didn't feature on this video, it's completely okay. I'm going to have at least 4 or 5 of these each year, so be sure to follow my Instagram and subscribe to my YouTube channel for the next time I'll be doing this. It's been a while since I've sit down and just kind of done one of these videos. I've been doing a whole bunch of massive projects. I did my Lego collaboration, I did my Clocks and Colors collaboration. Be sure to go check those videos out because they're one of my best videos of this entire year, well, at least I think. But yeah, that was another reviewing your photos. Thank you again to everyone who submitted. All their Instagrams will be linked in the description below, and yeah, I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.